My name is Claire, and I've always believed in love. Growing up, I dreamed of a fairy tale romance, a whirlwind of passion, trust, and connection. But reality is rarely as magical as the stories we tell ourselves, and now, looking back, I can't believe how blind I was. I met Ethan 2 years ago. Or should I say I was introduced to Ethan? My parents had always been traditional, and while I grew up in a modern world, they still held on to the customs of arranged marriages. I resisted for years, telling them I wanted to find love on my own. But as I approached my 30th birthday, their gentle nudges turned into firm suggestions. "Claire," my mother said one evening, her tone soft but serious, "we only want what's best for you. Ethan comes from a good family. He's kind, successful, and ready to settle down. At least meet him." I finally gave in, partly out of curiosity and partly to stop the endless conversations about my ticking clock. Ethan and I met for coffee, and at first glance, he seemed perfect. He was polite, charming, and had a calm confidence that was hard to ignore. We talked about our interests, our goals, and our families. He told me he wanted a partner to build a life with, someone he could trust and grow old with. It sounded like everything I had been searching for, and within a few months, we were engaged. Looking back, I realize how rushed it all was. Ethan and I barely knew each other, but the excitement of planning a wedding, coupled with my family's approval, clouded my judgment. Everyone said we made a beautiful couple, and I wanted to believe them. The wedding was a grand affair, lavish, colorful, and filled with love from friends and family. As I stood beside Ethan exchanging vows, I told myself I was ready for this new chapter. But the truth is, I had no idea who I was marrying. The cracks started to show on our honeymoon. Ethan was distant, spending more time on his phone than with me. When I asked him what was wrong, he shrugged it off, saying he was dealing with work issues. "You knew I had a demanding job," he said, his tone clipped. I tried to be understanding. After all, everyone has stress, and I didn't want to be the nagging new wife. But as the weeks turned into months, Ethan's behavior became harder to ignore. He was cold, almost mechanical, in the way he approached our relationship. Conversations were surface level, and he seemed uninterested in getting to know me on a deeper level. The man who had once charmed me with his wit and ambition now felt like a stranger living under the same roof. One night, after yet another silent dinner, I decided to confront him. "Ethan," I said, my voice trembling, "what's going on? Why do I feel like you're pulling away from me?" He sighed, putting his fork down. "Claire, I told you from the beginning, I'm not an emotional person. I don't do grand displays of affection. This is who I am." His words hit me like a slap in the face. I realized then that I had married an idea of Ethan, not the man himself. Things only got worse when I found out about the secrets he'd been keeping. One day, while cleaning the house, I stumbled upon a stack of papers in his office. They were emails, dozens of them, between Ethan and a woman named Amanda. Their tone was professional at first, but as I read further, I saw the shift. There were jokes, personal anecdotes, and even references to meeting up. My heart sank. I felt sick to my stomach. Who was Amanda, and why was Ethan sharing pieces of himself with her that he refused to share with me? When I confronted him that evening, he didn't deny it. "She's just a friend," he said, his tone flat. "You're overreacting." "A friend?" I shot back, my voice rising. "Ethan, you barely talk to me, but you can pour your heart out to her?" He looked at me, his expression unreadable. "Maybe if you stopped trying to change me, I wouldn't have to find someone who accepts me as I am." His words shattered me. I wasn't trying to change him. I was trying to understand him, but it was clear that Ethan had no intention of letting me in. For months, I struggled with what to do. My family adored Ethan and kept reminding me how lucky I was to have him. But they didn't see the loneliness I felt every day, the way I cried myself to sleep, wondering if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. One evening, I decided to reach out to Amanda. It was a risky move, but I needed answers. I sent her a polite message asking if she could clarify her relationship with Ethan. To my surprise, she responded almost immediately. "Claire, I had no idea Ethan was married," she wrote. "He told me he was single and looking for someone who understood him. I'm so sorry." Her words confirmed my worst fears. Ethan had been leading a double life, keeping me as his dutiful wife while pursuing emotional connections elsewhere. When I confronted him with Amanda's message, he didn't even try to apologize. "What do you want me to say, Claire?" he said, his tone cold. "I never asked for this marriage. I only agreed because it made my family happy." His confession broke me. I realized then that Ethan and I had both been living a lie, bound by expectations and appearances rather than genuine love. The next few days were filled with tension. I kept thinking about what he'd said, how he never wanted this marriage, how he only agreed to it to satisfy his family. It felt like a betrayal of everything I had hoped for, but there was more to come. "Claire, I think we need some space," Ethan said one night, his voice barely above a whisper. "I need time to think." The words hit me harder than I ever could have imagined. Space? Wasn't that what we had already been living in for months? But despite my shock, I nodded, my eyes brimming with tears. I didn't argue, didn't fight. I just watched as Ethan packed his things, his back turned to me. "I'll be back when I'm ready," he said before walking out the door. And just like that, I was alone. Days turned into weeks. I had hoped Ethan would return with some realization that he needed me, that he needed our marriage. But no, he was busy texting Amanda, and I was left in the silence of our home, feeling the weight of his absence. Then came the news I hadn't been prepared for. I was pregnant. At first, I didn't know what to do with this new reality. The shock kept me frozen in place. Ethan was gone, and there was no way I could tell him. I wasn't sure he even cared, but I knew I had to move forward. I threw myself into work, burying my pain beneath a veil of success. I started rising quickly in my career, becoming more focused and driven than I had ever been before. It was the only way I could escape the hurt, the constant ache in my chest. The success was bittersweet. Every new accomplishment felt empty without someone to share it with. Meanwhile, Ethan had moved on. He started seeing Amanda, and I could do nothing but watch from a distance, wondering if he ever thought of me or our child. Then one day, months later, I received a message from Ethan. "I ended things with Amanda. I was wrong. I want you back, Claire. I want to be a family." The words caught me off guard, my heart skipping a beat. After everything, his betrayal, his indifference, he wanted me back? He wanted to rebuild everything? He sounded sincere, but was that enough? Could I really trust him again? Was it fair to bring him back into my life when he had shattered it once already? I met with him, but things were different. He wasn't the same confident man who had once charmed me. His words hung in the air, heavy with emotion. I stared at him, searching for any trace of the man I had once loved, the man I had hoped would be my partner through life's challenges. But all I could see was a stranger who had left me to face those challenges alone. You want us to try again, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan, do you even understand what you're asking? You walked away from me when I needed you the most. You left me to raise our son alone, and now you think you can just waltz back into my life as if nothing happened. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, he replied, his tone earnest. But I've changed, Claire. Losing you, losing Noah, it made me realize what I had and how badly I messed up. Amanda and I didn't work out because I couldn't stop thinking about you. I felt a surge of anger rise within me. Don't you dare try to romanticize this, Ethan. You didn't lose me. You chose to leave. You chose Amanda over me, over us. And now that things didn't go your way, you're back here hoping for a second chance. Do you have any idea what I've been through? What Noah and I have been through? Ethan's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't let myself be swayed by his remorse. I had spent too many nights crying over him, too many days doubting my worth because of his choices. I know it's not fair for me to ask this of you, he said, his voice breaking. But I want to be there for Noah. I want to be there for you. Please, Claire, just give me a chance to prove that I can be the man you and Noah deserve. I turned away from him, my mind racing. For so long I had dreamed of this moment, of Ethan realizing his mistake and begging for a second chance. But now that it was here, I didn't feel the closure or satisfaction I had imagined. Instead, I felt torn. Noah deserved to know his father. He deserved the chance to have a relationship with him, even if Ethan had failed me as a husband. But could I trust Ethan to stay this time? Could I trust him not to hurt us again? I don't know, Ethan, I said finally, my voice shaking. I need time to think about this. I need time to figure out what's best for me and for Noah. Ethan nodded, his expression a mix of relief and uncertainty. Take all the time you need. I'll do whatever it takes to prove myself to you, Claire. I promise. The days that followed, Ethan began visiting Noah regularly, taking him to the park, reading him bedtime stories, and trying to make up for lost time. Noah, in his innocent way, welcomed Ethan with open arms, thrilled to have his father in his life. Watching them together was bittersweet. On one hand, I was happy for Noah. He finally had the father figure he deserved. But on the other hand, I couldn't shake the memories of the pain Ethan had caused me. Friends and family offered their opinions, but they only added to my confusion. People change, my mother said one afternoon as we sipped tea in my kitchen. If he's truly remorseful and willing to work for it, maybe it's worth giving him another chance. You're better off without him, my best friend Lily argued later that evening. He left you, Claire. What's stopping him from doing it again? I feel caught between my head and my heart. My head tells me to move on, to focus on the life I had built for myself and Noah. But my heart whispers that people deserved second chances, especially when they were the father of your child. As I sit here now, writing this, I'm left with a decision I never thought I'd have to make. Should I take Ethan back, knowing he's the father of my child? Or should I let him go and hope that I'll find love again someday? What would you do if you were in my shoes? Please, let me know. I'm truly lost.